Hey everyone, it is Hunter Fireflower, and in today's video, I will be doing a summary of Darth Vader, comic number 1. This is the 2020 series. I know there's multiple Darth Vader comics, but this is the new one that's considered actually canon. So without further ado, let's begin. So to start off this comic, on the cover, we see Darth Vader with his Death Troopers. The Death Troopers are in this series, but as of right now, they don't really play like a major role, but let's start. So we start at the dark heart of the Sith. Darth Vader failed to turn Luke Skywalker to the dark side. Luke escaped, but now knows the truth. He is Darth Vader's son. For the first time in many years, Darth Vader's path is uncertain. So we see this is the scene at Cloud City with Luke versus Vader in Empire Strikes Back. And these little red bubbles that you see here are actually Vader's thoughts. So we see power, strength, you are my son. And we see Darth Vader fighting in the first person form of fighting Luke Skywalker. And then eventually we see that Luke's hand gets cut off. And then once his hand gets cut off, Vader senses pain, fear. This is what you need. In the bottom panel here, we say, no, that's not true. That's impossible. It's literally just recreating the scene in the movie. Then eventually we see, the Darth Vader trying to say, like, oh, take my hand, son, we'll rule the galaxy. And Darth Vader thinks he's so strong. And then Luke just decides to drop off the little pole thing and then falls down, which we all know is happening. So strong, but so weak. And then we see the Millennium Falcon taking off, and Darth Vader is just thinking about his son as he is on a command deck of some, I'm assuming, an Imperial Star Destroyer. We go on, and then Darth Vader's taking his personal shuttle, and we see some Death Troopers. What's interesting is with the Death Troopers is whenever they talk, it's kind of like all scribbled out, which, like, when I first saw it, I was like, wait, is it supposed to be that way? Or, like, and I was like, oh yeah, because they speak in, like, it's really weird how they speak. So Darth Vader is going to leave on his personal shuttle when he has this forensic droid, Z67, that's going to basically retrieve data, and he specializes in data collections and analysis. And he sees Death Troopers, and it's actually kind of funny when the droid sees the Death Troopers, he's like, oh, there should be plenty to analyze then, which is kind of just saying that Death Troopers kill a lot of people, since he's like a forensics droid. So I thought that was a little funny. He's kind of like Z67 is like a quirky little character. So we then get a message from the Grand Visor. It's basically saying that the Emperor wants Vader back since the Millennium Falcon escaped. And then we have Admiral Piet, I believe is how you pronounce his name, basically saying, hey, Lord Vader, come here, like the Emperor wants you. But then he looks out the little viewpoint and he sees that Darth Vader's already gone. And then he tells the Grand Visor, like, Vader's not available right now, like, call back later. And then at the bottom here, we see Emperor Palpatine saying, is he now? And then he's just laughing. So maybe I'm guessing that Palpatine knows what he's going to do, maybe, because it doesn't really seem to faze him. The next part we see is on Lord Vader's personal shuttle, and we see Zed here with Lord Vader, and Vader uses the Force to, like, open up his, like, little, like, top thing, and he's basically he's adjusting his motivator so that if the droid tells anyone anything about their mission, the droid is literally going to self-destruct, and the droid is literally just like, oh, okay, cool, that's great, thanks for everything. Just tell me everything now. He's, like I said, he's kind of like a quirky little character to try and bring some, like, comedic relief into the comic. We then go on, and then Darth Vader tells Zed that he wants to look up everything about Skywalker, how he was the pilot that destroyed the Death Star, and how he disappeared without a trace, And then Vader then asks how he was raised. And in particular, the reason why he wants to know how he was raised is he wants to destroy anyone that actually hid Luke Skywalker from him. So I guess he's feeling kind of resentful and angry towards everyone because he wanted to know his son existed. He wants to know who hit him, and then in particular, he says, he basically wants to know everyone who made him weak. And I'm trying to think of, like, why does he, like, he determines that Luke's weak, but I'm not quite sure why. Is it because he's not following the dark side? Like, did he want to have Luke under his wing his entire life, and then he would make him, like, his Sith apprentice or something? We'll find out, I guess, later. He wants to find out who made them weak, and then he wants to kill them. And then the droid says, okay, the best place to start would be where the boy was first seen, which, as we know, is on Tatooine, since he was raised on Tatooine. So Darth Vader takes the shuttle over to Tatooine, and we see this little spaceship hiding behind this, like, asteroid thing. And there are these pirates talking about an Imperial shuttle about having, like, an escort, like a Star Destroyer or any TIE fighters. And they're thinking that the Imperial shuttle might have a few crates of untraceable credits, and they're thinking about basically just stealing the ship and stealing the credits, and they'll come in later, and they're going to call in their gang of pirates to come and attack the ship. So Darth Vader lands on Tatooine. It doesn't exactly say what town this is. Maybe it's Mos Eisley. We are not quite sure. He's greeted by Lieutenant Ardo Bench, and then he basically, this lieutenant's gonna be like, hey, Lord Vader, if you need anything, let us know. And this Death Trooper is just kind of like, shut up. And then the lieutenant's like, sorry, what? And then everyone just walks right past him and ignores him. And then they're going to go to a local records terminal to see where Luke Skywalker was raised. It's funny because the lieutenant keeps trying to help them, but then this Death Trooper just gives him this death stare that basically just says, hey, screw off, we're doing something. So anyways, Zed goes to this personal records terminal, and he starts analyzing it. And then they fly over, and we see very, very similar scene of Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen's house now burning. Their corpses aren't in the front door anymore, though. They're gone. I don't know. Something maybe ate them. I don't know. But They land there, and Vader has the Death Troopers patrol the perimeter, and then Zed tells him, oh, this was the home of Lars. And of course, Vader knows who this home is. He knows the entire history of this home, because you have to remember in Attack of the Clones, he comes back here, and this is where he last saw his mother. So the droid's giving him a quick history of, oh, this house belonged to Lars, and then he starts having flashbacks, Darth Vader, that is. Having flashbacks of his mother, and it's literally flashbacks to the, this top one up here is episode 1, and I really liked how they had these flashbacks of the prequels, because it kind of gives Vader these emotions, because when you think of Darth Vader, you think of just this character that's angry all the time, but you have to remember that he went through a lot of pain. And I think this comic kind of flushes him out a little bit and just makes it feel like you almost feel sympathetic towards him. The droid was talking about Shima, his mother. I believe I'm pronouncing that correct. Sheem. Is it Sheem? Sheem Skywalker? I don't know. I probably should rewatch episode 1 to figure it out. But anyways, talks about the death, and after they both died, the house was then inherited by his son, which is Owen Lars, and then Beru, which we know as well. We see them at the end of episode 3, and as the younger versions, as you see in this panel here. And then we see another flashback of Anakin saying he's gonna go find his mother. This is the part where the Sand People thing, and they're just like, okay, he's gone. And then the droid tells them that Owen and Beru adopted Luke Skywalker, and then they go into the, I don't know what this is, a garage, maybe, in this bottom panel. And this is where we see in Attack of the Clones where Anakin comes back after his mother finds his mother dead, and he kills the entire Tusken Raider village. And yeah, and the droid talks about how Luke Skywalker has an affinity for flying, and this entire time that the droid's telling him the history, Darth Vader already knows it, and he's just like, you can sense that he's a little sad. So anyways, the droid starts picking up some stuff about how there was time spent here with all of the tools and stuff like that, and Vader he's looking at everything, and he gets a flashback of when he raged at Padme, saying like, oh, I'm good at fixing things, I always was good at fixing things, I'll prevent people from dying. That whole scene, you see like a quick little flashback from there. And then the droid looks into the lubrication vat, and then basically saying, oh, like this, Skywalker must have taken care of his droids, And then the droid goes on to talk about how the Tusken Raiders and Moisture Farmers have a long history of being, like, not really at war, but always attacking each other. The Tusken Raiders attack the Moisture Farmers, and then the Moisture Farmers want to push back the Tusken Raiders. So the droid just goes on a quick history of that, and you can just see that, like, Darth Vader's like, I know. And it was actually funny because after the droid then says, like, after Anakin's mother was killed, a village of Tusken Raiders were massacred shortly after, and Vader's just like, yeah, I did that, but and then we have a little flashback of they're like animals, and I slaughter them like animals. I hate them. We get a whole flashback of anger leads to hate, and then he sees this next bottom panel of Padme saying, "Come away with me." They'll raise their child on Naboo, leave everything behind, and then the third one we see is Anakin basically saying, "Oh, I'll bring peace to the Republic. I'll be the new Chancellor." Blah 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 blah. And then we see the fourth one as Luke Skywalker with Darth Vader at this time saying, "Come with me. You know, it's the only way we'll rule father and son." And then we see Padme again saying, "I don't believe what I'm hearing." So I'm kind of thinking that Anakin's feeling, or Darth Vader, whatever we want to call him, is feeling a parallel. Because back in the old days, Padme said, "Come on, let's come with me. Everything will be better. Everything will be better. We'll leave." And then I believe he's trying to relate that to him in the position of Padme, saying that to Luke Skywalker. And he feels that, like, oh, I'm basically doing what Padme told me to do. Come with me. I think that's what they're going for. I don't quite know. It might just be like a bunch of flashbacks, but I'm kind of seeing like a parallel between Padme asking for them to escape, as well as Darth Vader asking Luke Skywalker to escape. And then we see a little, like, I don't know what you would call this, like a little dreamy vision thing of Luke falling, and then instead it's replaced with Padme. And I feel like maybe I feel like Darth Vader or Anakin losing his son reminds him of losing Padme. And I feel like because he loves Padme so much, and I think he feels like he's losing a part of himself because he's not reconnecting with his son. So anyways, Darth Vader instead leave, and the droid's like, "Oh, so they took the boy in," and then Darth Vader's like, "And they made Luke Skywalker weak." They, as in Owen and Beru. Darth Vader then lights up his lightsaber, and the droid's like, "Oh, you came to punish someone, but everyone's dead. No one's left here." And then we see Darth Vader in like an attacking, angry stance. And then they're walking out, and the droid says, "Wait a second, there's little like shapes under the ground or something." And then Darth Vader uses the Force to brush it away, and it's the gravestones. It's his mother's gravestone as well as the gravestone of Lars. And then Darth Vader gets into this really angry Force thing where like he's kind of making like a little whirlwind thing, and the droid's just like, "Whoa." It's kind of funny. And then we have another flashback of when Anakin was burying his mom and saying how he promised that he'll be stronger and he won't fail. And you just have this sense of, he's desperate at this point. Then the droid, he sees something, he hears this ship and he sees something, and then it's the lieutenant basically coming saying, "Hey, we have a transmission." The lieutenant that was, that kept getting like pushed by the Death Troopers. And, so he's coming, and then all of a sudden we have the ship that the lieutenant was on literally just exploded, and Vader's just like standing there like, just another day in the Empire. And the droid's just like, "Oh, we're just gonna stand here? Okay." And then we see these ships come out, and they are the pirates, and they're just laughing, of course. And then they go on and say, one on the left, I forget what his race is in particular, he's like, "Oh, we got the shuttles, we got this, easy peasy." And then the guy on the right, who kind of looks like Lando a little bit, he's like, "Hang on, that guy's still alive." And they're like, "That's impossible, we blew him up." And then you see Darth Vader coming through the fire, like, doesn't faze him at all. And then the droid's like, "Oh, great, like, you have, you wanted to punish somebody, and here's someone to punish. Like, I mean, they're not the people you wanted to punish, but yeah, you can punish these people." And then Darth Vader, like, does this, like, Force grip thing, and then he literally, like, takes out, like, a turbine or something, the engine on this ship with the Force. And then the ship starts plummeting down to the surface, and he takes out his lightsaber, and he just starts cutting away. I'm not sure what exactly he broke, but he just broke, I think, like, a wing off the ship or something. I don't know. And then the pirates escape, and they're trying to kill him. And then you see Vader here just going similar, like, in the Rogue One scene, and he's just hacking people off, limbs go flying. And the Death Troopers are running to come and save him, but, Darth Vader doesn't need help. Like, he can handle himself. And then we see Darth Vader walking away with the droid, and the droid's like, "Oh, are we done now?" And then Vader's saying, "No." We continue on, and we go to Coruscant, and we go to the we go to the apartment of Padme, and the doors are locked, and instead there's this giant sculpture of Padme made. Obviously, Darth Vader wanted that made. So Darth Vader just, like, uses the Force, rips open the sculpture, and then they just go inside, and the droid's like, oh, we should probably contact someone to deal with this, and then Vader's like, nah, I got this, and he just rips it, and he's like, okay, whatever. So then they go inside the apartment, and then the droid's like, why are we at the apartment of Senator Padme Amidala? You know, this was sealed after her death. She's confused of why she's there, of why they're there. And then Vader tells the droid that, oh, she's the mother of Anakin. She's the mother of Luke Skywalker. And then the droid's like, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And he starts searching the databanks. And then she said a Jedi named Skywalker was always here at her apartment, Anakin Skywalker. And then he's like, oh, they must have gotten friendly. And then of course Darth Vader knows this because that's him, and there's a little flashback of them kissing on Coruscant there. Anyways, Vader's like, you know, she must have only told her most trusted people that she was pregnant, and she must have stolen the boy. They must have stolen the boy when she died, and they, you know, he wants to know, did they bring her here, or what happened? Like, what happened? How did the child escape him? And so then the droid's like, okay, let me check the databanks, but then it doesn't work anymore. There's like a piece of the databank is missing, so whoever was protecting the boy, I'm assuming it's probably Obi-Wan, must have like deleted all of the security recordings and everything. So then they start looking around, saying, oh, maybe there's other evidence. Then all of a sudden the droid finds a scout transmitter, and then he just wants to know who the scout transmitter is reporting to, so he does a little, like, droidy thingy to try and figure it out. And then we go to this planet called Vendaxa, I believe is how you pronounce it. And then we see these, like, weird tentacle squid alien, like, insect things attacking this bunker, and you see the commander finally... Their locals have finally gone crazy, and then they're breaching the doors, and we see, like, a Gungan saying, like, oh, we have to evac. And then everyone's getting destroyed and dying by these weird tentacle animals until Darth Vader shows up, of course. And Darth Vader just literally starts killing all of them, like, and all of the little tentacle creatures are like, ee, and they're running away. And then he says, power, Luke, in, like, his mind. If you only knew, only power, and I'm assuming it's gonna say save you, and we see Darth Vader just still destroying, cutting these alien things. Destroying them, only power, and then we see Padme, or what appears to be Padme. I mean, she kind of looks like Padme, she kind of doesn't look like Padme. We know that it's not Padme. It could, I don't know, it could be a clone, I don't know. We'll find out, though, in the next one, but we see Darth Vader sees this woman who appears like Padme. She might just be, like a vision, or maybe just an illusion of Padme. I mean, she kind of looks like Padme, she kind of doesn't look like Padme. I don't know, so we'll see what happens in the next comic. So anyways, guys, that is it for my summary of Darth Vader comic number 1, the 2020 edition. I know there's tons of other Darth Vader comics that are literally titled Darth Vader that are from different years, so I know it can be confusing. This one is considered canon, though, since it did come out after Disney purchased Lucas. So this one's canon, the other ones I believe aren't canon, don't quote me on that. I kind of do want to read the other ones though at some point, but I wanted to see what they're doing for 2020. It's kind of interesting how they're doing the flashbacks and everything, and we see Vader not only as like a killing machine, but also kind of like an actual human being, which is the way he should be viewed. So anyways, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment on what you liked about the comic or whatever. If you want to see similar content to this, please subscribe. I make videos regarding Star Wars comics considered legends and not canon. So if you're into legends or canon, please subscribe and you'll see that. I do have like a Kylo Ren thing. So Kylo Ren number 3, I'll be doing a summary for that. I already have videos up for 1 and 2. So if you want to watch those, go ahead. I also, currently right now, I'm doing work mostly in pre-Old Republic timelines. So if you want to find out more about that timeline, you can go watch those videos as well. That's considered legends, though. It's not canon. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay frosty.